Hello students, I welcome you all to the online video lecture on course Applied Thermodynamics. Today we'll discuss the module number 1, chapter 1, which is entitled as Air Standard Cycles. The agenda of today's class is to learn what is the air standard cycle, what are the different assumptions made in the analysis of air standard cycles, and one of the very important type of the cycle, that is a Carnot cycle, which is also known as the reversible cycle. Okay, so if possible, we will derive the equation for the thermal efficiency of a Carnot cycle in the today's session. Okay, let's begin with the air standard cycles. The content of this particular topics, this particular module are the Carnot cycle, the Otto cycle, diesel cycle, dual cycle, Stirling cycle, and we have to draw these diagrams, these cycles on the PV and TS coordinates, that is pressure versus volume and temperature versus entropy diagrams. And we have to describe each and every cycles. We have to derive the efficiency and mean effective pressure for each cycle with the comparisons. Okay, so let's understand very first what do you mean by this air standard cycles. Generally in air standard cycles, these are the reference cycle for the actual cycles. Actual cycle in the sense we are using the spark ignition engines, the compression ignition engines, Rankine cycles, etc. So for these practical cycles, we are having some reference cycles. Like for petrol engines or SI engines, we have Otto cycle. For diesel engine or compression ignition engine, we have diesel cycle as a reference cycle, etc. So similarly, so air standard cycles are some standard reference cycles in which air or some perfect gas is used as a working fluid. Okay, now air standard cycle uses the perfect gas as a working medium. Air is almost invariably used as the working fluid in internal combustion engines and is assumed to behave as a perfect gas. In order to analyze the performance of these air standard cycles, we have some assumptions. We have to assume some assumptions. These assumptions are very important. So whenever we ask about the Carnot cycle or diesel cycle or dual cycle, to derive the equation for efficiency or mean effective pressure, it is mandatory to write these 7 assumptions. Okay, so let us see these assumptions one by one. The first assumption is working medium is a perfect gas throughout, that is it follows the law PV equals to mRT. So this law is popularly known as ideal gas law or ideal gas equation, which is PV equals to mRT, where P is a pressure, V is a volume, M is a mass, R is the characteristic gas constant. So if you use air as a working fluid, then generally R for air is 0.287 kilojoules per kg kelvins, and T is a temperature in kelvins. So if you are using the perfect gas or any air in the cycle or in the engine, then it should follow the ideal gas law, that is PV equals to mRT. Similarly, the second assumption is the working fluid is a fixed mass of air either contained in the closed system or flowing at a constant rate around a closed circuit. So if you are using the closed system, then it contains the fixed mass of gas or fixed mass of the perfect gas in case of a closed system. But if you consider the open system, say for example a compressor, a air compressor, through which the air is continuously crossing the system boundary, in that situation we have to consider the constant flow rate of air through the control volume. Okay, the mass flow rate of air must be constant or volume flow rate of the air must be constant. So that is called the that is the main assumptions in the analysis of air standard cycles. The third assumption is the physical constants of working medium are same as those of air at standard atmospheric condition. So we have some constants for air. So if we are using air as the working fluid in these cycles, then Cp, the specific heat at constant pressure, is 1.005 kilojoules per kg kelvins. Similarly, the specific heat at constant volume is 0.718 kilojoules per kg kelvins. And gamma stands for ratio of specific heats, which is given by 1.4. So these values remains constant throughout the cycle, complete cycle, right? Now the fourth important assumption is the working medium does not undergo any chemical change throughout the cycle. It should have the similar composition throughout the cycle, whatever it may be the process. It may be the heat addition or heat rejection or compression or expansion, whatever it may be. The chemical composition remains constant throughout the cycle, right? Now, in the fifth assumption is the compression and expansion processes are reversible adiabatic, and there is no loss or gain of the entropy. Generally, the compression and expansion processes in this cycle must be reversible adiabatic. The reversible adiabatic in the sense, or it is also known as the isentropic process. So if we consider the compression or expansion process, there should not be any change in entropy during these processes. The entropy remains same. The entropy should be same, or change in entropy must be equals to 0. Now, sixth assumption is the kinetic and potential energies of working fluid are neglected. The changes in kinetic and potential energies of the working fluid are neglected. Now, the seventh assumption is the operation of the engine is frictionless. So generally in practical cases, always due to the reciprocation of piston within the engine cylinder, so there is a frictional loss due to the reciprocating motion, due to the relative motion between the inside surface of the cylinder and the piston. But in ideal condition, but in air standard cycles, these frictional losses or friction is neglected or ignored. With these assumptions, let's go with the first important cycle, that is Carnot cycle. It is first developed by the Sadi Carnot, who was a French engineer. The Carnot cycle, incidentally, is the most convenient to use because of the two isothermal processes and two adiabatic processes. Generally, the Carnot cycle consists of 4 reversible processes. Remember, students, in Carnot cycle, all the 4 processes are reversible in nature. I hope you have studied the meaning of a reversible process. If we consider any process, say for example, let me explain what do you mean by this reversible process. If we consider the process A to B is expansion process. It follows the process 1. So 1A is the initial state and B is a final state, and let me consider 1 as a process. So the process 1 is carried out between A to B in this direction. Now, what do you mean by the reversible process? Now, if we conduct the same process from B to A by following the same path, then this process is called reversible process. So reversible process is also known as the quasi-static process, which is infinitesimally slow process. I repeat, reversible process is also known as quasi-static process, which is infinitesimally slow. But remember, students, the reversible process doesn't occur in the universe, because whatever the process which happens in the universe, all are the irreversible processes, and all processes tends to increase the entropy of the universe. Is that clear? So these are the very basic things which you must know about the reversible processes. Okay, anyway, in the Carnot cycle we have generally the 4 processes, namely the 2 reversible isothermal process and 2 reversible adiabatic process. I repeat, in Carnot cycle we have four processes, namely two reversible isothermal process and two reversible adiabatic processes. Okay, so let us draw on the PV coordinates, the pressure versus volume coordinates and TS coordinates. The first one is A to B. The process A to B is reversible isothermal process. The process A to B is reversible isothermal process or reversible constant temperature process. During this process, the heat addition takes place. The heat addition, say for example, Q1 stands for heat addition process. Next, B to C is reversible adiabatic expansion process. I repeat, B to C is reversible adiabatic expansion process, which is given by PV raised to gamma equals to constant. For adiabatic process, we know PV raised to gamma equals to constant. Okay, so this is the reversible adiabatic expansion process. Next, during the adiabatic process, there is no heat interaction between the system and surroundings. This is a very basic thing. During the adiabatic process, there is no heat interaction between the system and surroundings. So heat transfer Q will be equals to 0 during the reversible adiabatic or adiabatic process. Fine. Now C to D is reversible isothermal compression process, or you can say reversible isothermal heat rejection. Reversible isothermal heat rejection, that is Q2. A to B is heat addition process, which takes place during reversible isothermal process. C to D is reversible isothermal heat rejection process. Reversible isothermal heat rejection process. Similarly, D to A is reversible adiabatic compression process. D to A is reversible adiabatic compression process. Okay, so A to B, B to C, C to D, and D to A, these all together constitutes a Carnot cycle, which consists of two reversible isothermal process. A to B and C to D are reversible isothermal process, whereas B to C and D to A are reversible adiabatic processes respectively. Okay, similarly, these processes can be drawn on the TS coordinates also, that is temperature versus entropy coordinates. Fine. Now initially A to B is isothermal process. So about y-axis we have the temperature, and A to B is just we have to draw a horizontal line. Fine. If you move from state A to state B, is there any change in temperature? The temperature remains constant. If the temperature is constant, then it is called the isothermal process. Okay. So remember, on TS coordinates, the isothermal process is just a horizontal line. Now B to C is reversible adiabatic process. B to C is reversible adiabatic process, which is represented by a vertical line. So if you move from state B to state C, is there any change in entropy? The entropy remains constant. So B to C process is also known as the isentropic process. The B to C process is also known as isentropic process. Now C to D is reversible isothermal process, which is also a straight line or horizontal line. If you move from state C to state D, is there any change in temperature? The temperature remains constant, which is also known as the isothermal process or constant temperature process. Now D to A, during the process D to A, if you move from D to A, is there any change in entropy? The entropy remains constant. So when the entropy remains constant, when the process is reversible adiabatic process. Remember students, during the reversible adiabatic process, the change in entropy is always equals to 0. Okay, now D to A is reversible adiabatic process, which is represented by a vertical line on TS coordinates. Okay, now during A to B, there is a heat addition Q1, and during C to D, there is heat rejection. So let us analyze each and every process in detail. because the main task, the main agenda of this topic is to derive the equation for efficiency of a Carnot cycle, the thermal efficiency of a Carnot cycle. This is the main intention of this particular topic. So let there be a source of high temperature which is at T1 and sink at low temperature, that is T2. Let us consider the source which is at temperature T1, high temperature T1, and the sink, that is T2, which is at low temperature. T1 is at high temperature, source temperature, and T2 is low temperature, that is sink temperature. Between these two sources, between these two temperature limits, let us assume a heat engine. Let us assume a heat engine which continuously extracts the heat from the source, that is Q1, which is maintained at temperature T1, and it converts the heat energy into useful mechanical work, that is W net, and the remaining amount of heat energy, that is Q2, is rejected to the surroundings or sink, which is maintained at temperature T2. Okay, fine. Now, if we consider the process A to B, which is a reversible isothermal heat addition process, as I said, A to B is isothermal process, reversible isothermal process, during which the heat is being added to the cycle. Fine. So in the isothermal process, the change in internal energy is equals to 0. Remember, students, during the isothermal process, during the constant temperature process, the change in internal energy equals to 0. So how I can write the first law of thermodynamics? So first law of thermodynamics can be given by del Q equals to del U plus del W. Differentiation of Q is equals to differentiation of U plus differentiation of W. If du equals to 0, the change in internal energy is equals to 0, then what we can conclude? The rate of heat transferred or the magnitude of heat transferred is equals to magnitude of work transferred during the isothermal process. I repeat, during the isothermal process, the rate of heat transferred is equals to rate of work transferred. Okay. Now, during the isothermal process, we know Q1 equals to QA to B or WA to B, because these two are same. According to first law, how to write the first law? Yes, the Q equals to the change in internal energy, the sum of change in internal energy plus W, the change in internal energy plus W. This is a heat transfer, that is 1 to 2, or you can say A to B, and this is the work transfer, that is from A to B, WA to B or W1 to 2. Now, this is the first law of thermodynamics for change in state process. But if we are dealing with the isothermal process, then during the isothermal process, the change in internal energy is equals to 0. So that's why the heat transferred is equals to work transferred during the isothermal process. Please remember this. Fine. Now let's go ahead. Let's write down the equation for the rate of heat or the heat transfer, magnitude of heat transfer. So we know the basic equation, that is PAVA into ln VB by VA. PAVA ln VB by VA, where PA and VA are the pressure and volume of the gas or the ideal gas at state A, and ln of VB by VA. This is a very fundamental equation what already we have derived in the basic thermodynamics course. Now, PAVA equals to MRTA. This can also be written as MRTA, because PV equals to MRT. PV equals to MRT into ln of VB by VA as it is. But instead of TA, let me write T1, because this heat engine is working between the two temperature limits. The upper temperature limit is T1 and the lower temperature limit is T2. So whenever you found TA or TB, you can write T1, and whenever you find TC or TD, you can write T2, because we have only two temperature limits. Fine, because TA equals to TB and TC equals to TD, which is T2 and this is T1. So that's why I have written, so MRTA instead of MRTA, instead of TA, I have written T1 into ln of VB by VA as it is. As the heat is added to the system, as the heat is added to the cycle, then arbitrarily the sign convention is positive. I think you know these fundamental things. Now, if we consider a system, then heat added to the system, is arbitrarily taken as positive. Heat added to the system is arbitrarily taken as positive, and heat rejected by the system is arbitrarily taken as negative. Similarly, the work added to the system is arbitrarily taken as negative, and similarly the heat or the work which is done by the system or obtained from the system is arbitrarily taken as positive. So you must remember these important sign conventions. Okay. So as during the process A to B, the heat is being added. So therefore, the sign convention, according to the sign convention, this should be positive. I hope this is clear. Fine. Now, let me take this as equation number 1. Now, during the process B to C, this is the reversible adiabatic process. During this process, the heat exchange between the system and surrounding is equals to 0. Okay, so dq equals to 0. Fine. So let's focus on these two processes only, that is A to B and C to D, because for obtaining the final equation we need only two processes. Okay, that is heat addition process and heat rejection process. Now during the process C to D, the reversible isothermal heat rejection process. In this process also, the change in internal energy equals to 0. So that's why during the isothermal process, the heat addition is also equals to work done. Now Q2, let me take Q2 as heat rejection. So Q heat rejection equals to Q2 equals to QC to D, or WC to D equals to minus. This is a very important step. TCVC ln VD by VC. The equation is TCVC ln VD by VC. TCVC ln VD by VC, or MRTC. So in place of TC, let me write here T2. Into ln VC by VD. See students, why we are taking here negative sign? Because during this process C to D, the heat is rejected. So arbitrarily, according to the sign convention, what is the sign for heat rejection from the cycle or from the system? It should be arbitrarily negative. So that's why I have considered here negative sign. I repeat it once again. During the process C to D, the heat rejection takes place. So arbitrarily it should be minus or negative sign. So that's why I have considered minus sign here. Okay. So MRT2 ln. So if we exchange this, then you can take here negative sign. So minus into minus, it will become plus. So if you interchange this, ln of this interchange, okay. So ln of x is equals to minus ln of 1 by x. Okay, this is a very fundamental thing. Ln of x can also be written as minus ln of 1 by x. This is a fundamental thing. Okay, so just I have interchanged these two. Okay, so that's why here we have to take the minus into minus plus sign. Fine. Let's go ahead. The process G2A is a reversible adiabatic compression. During the adiabatic compression process, or during the reversible adiabatic process, the heat exchange is equals to 0. Now, for the process B to C, for the process B to C, let us use the TV relationship. Let us use the TV relationship for the process B to C. For the process B to C. So we know for the reversible adiabatic process, what is a TV relationship? T1 V1 raised to gamma minus 1 equals to T2 V2 raised to gamma minus 1. Since we are dealing with the process C to B, then what I can write, or B to C, then TB VB raised to gamma minus 1 equals to TC VTC raised to gamma minus 1. TB VB raised to gamma minus 1 equals to TC VC raised to gamma minus 1. So let's do the cross multiplication, that is TB by TC. TB by TC equals to VC by VB raised to gamma minus 1. This is for process B to C. Similarly, for the process D to A, which is also the reversible adiabatic process. For this process, we know that TV relationship as TA VA raised to gamma minus 1 equals to TD VD raised to gamma minus 1. Do the cross multiplication, TA by TD equals to VD by VA raised to gamma minus 1. But here TA equals to TB and TC equals to TD. TA equals to TB and TC equals to TD. Both are same because A to B is a constant temperature process. C to D is also the constant temperature process. So can't we take TA equals to TB and TD equals to TC? Yes, of course, we can. So TA equals to TB and TC equals to TD. Then if I write, see, instead of this, if I write TA in place of TA, if I write TB, and in place of TD, if I write TC, then TB by TC, what we have taken TB by TC as TB by TC equals to VC by VB raised to gamma minus 1. So VC by VB raised to gamma minus 1 equals to VD by VA raised to gamma minus 1. Both are same. Okay. Now on both the sides, the indices are same, gamma minus 1 and gamma minus 1. So cancel these two. We can cancel these two. Okay, we can cancel these two because indices are same on the both sides. The power is same. So VC by VB equals to VD by VA. And if you do the cross multiplication, I can write VB by VA. Just do the cross multiplication. VB by VA equals to VC by VD. Okay. So I hope up to here it is clear. Now the final step is the cycle efficiency. The efficiency of Carnot cycle is given by, the equation is very basic. Net work done divided by heat added. Net work done divided by heat added. Or net work done can also be written as the difference between heat added and heat rejected. Q1 minus Q2 divided by Q1, or 1 minus Q2 divided by Q1. You know both the equation for Q2 heat rejection and Q1 the equation for heat addition. So 1 minus, what is Q2 here? MRT2 ln VC by VD. MRT2 ln VC by VD. Similarly, what is Q1? It is MRT1 ln VB by VA. MRT1 ln VB by VA. MRT1 ln VB by VA. Just substitute and MR will get cancelled. Now this is very important step. Already we proved VC by VD equals to VB by VA. VC by VD equals to VB by VA. Both are same. So cancel these two. You will get 1 minus T2 by T1. 1 minus T2 by T1. So whenever he asked us to calculate the cycle efficiency for Carnot cycle, then we have to use the formula. The cycle efficiency equals to 1 minus T2 by T1, where T1 is source temperature or higher temperature and T2 is a sink temperature. Both should be in kelvins. Okay. So sometimes if we give the value of temperature in degree centigrades, then we have to convert this into kelvins. just by adding 273. Okay, so remember students, to calculate the cycle efficiency, which is in terms of temperature, is supposed to take the temperature in kelvins. Okay, hope this is clear. Now, how to increase the cycle efficiency? How to increase the cycle efficiency? Either we have to reduce the surrounding temperature or we have to increase the source temperature. I repeat, how to increase the cycle efficiency? Either we have to decrease the T2 or sink temperature, or we have to increase the source temperature. But if we consider the surrounding or atmosphere or ambient as the sink, then it is not possible to reduce the temperature of atmosphere. Is it possible? It's not possible. So always remember, this is a most frequently asked question in competitive examinations: how to increase the cycle efficiency of a reversible heat engine or the Carnot cycle. Then the answer is, keeping the sink temperature constant, we have to increase the source temperature. How to increase the source temperature? Just by adding excess amount of fuel. Just by adding excess amount of fuel, because we can't decrease the surrounding temperature. That's why, keeping the sink temperature constant, we have to increase the source temperature. So that is the most efficient way to increase the cycle efficiency of Carnot cycle. Right? This is the most frequently asked question in the competitive exams like railways, SSC, and GATE examinations as well. Okay, so these are the very basic things that you need to remember. Okay, now whatever the things what I have explained till now, it is given this paragraph. Please go through it. But here the most important thing is, Carnot cycle is practically impossible. Why the Carnot cycle is practically impossible? This is the most frequently asked question in examinations. Okay, I repeat, why the Carnot cycle is practically impossible. See students, in Carnot cycle we have four processes, namely A to B, the isothermal expansion process or isothermal heat addition. You can see during the process A to B, the volume is increasing from A to B. The volume is increasing from A to B. That means the piston is displaced towards the bottom dead center, from top to bottom dead center. So if we consider this as the piston cylinder arrangement, this is the cylinder and this is the initial position of the piston. This is the initial position of the piston, and this is a top dead center. This is a top dead center, and this is a bottom dead center. This is the bottom dead center. Then during the process A to B, there is a heat addition. During the process A to B, there is a heat addition by Q1 amount. Meanwhile, the piston will get displaced from A to B. The piston will get displaced from A to B since the volume is being increased. Say for example, this is A, this is B, this is B. The volume is getting increased. Similarly, B to C is a reversible adiabatic expansion process. During this process also, the piston will move to extreme dead end, that is bottom dead center. That is bottom dead center. This is C, state C. Now during the third process C to D, there is a heat rejection. This is taken place by a reversible isothermal process. So during this process, the piston will move from C to D, that is volume is being decreased. Volume is being decreased from C to D. When the piston is moving from C to D, the volume is decreasing. Similarly, the last process is D to A. D to A is reversible adiabatic process. During this process, the piston will again move from state D to the top dead center, the extreme position, the top dead center, that is A. Why this Carnot cycle is practically not possible? The question arises, why this Carnot cycle is practically not possible? Listen here carefully. During the process A to B, the piston has to move very slowly, infinitesimally slow. The movement of the piston should be infinitesimally slow during the process A to B. But during the process B to C, the piston should be move very rapidly. The piston should move very rapidly from B to C. During the process C to D, again, the piston has to move infinitesimally slow. The infinitesimally slow. And finally, the piston has to move from D to A very rapidly. So slow movement, very rapid movement, slow movement, and very rapid movement. So during the similar strokes, continuously, such a alteration in the speed cannot be attained. So during the single stroke from A to C, A to B is a expansion. During the isothermal process, B to C is again the expansion process during the reversible adiabatic process. During the same line, the two different speed cannot be attained. Similarly, during the compression, this process C to D and D to A together constitutes the compression. The piston has to move from bottom dead center to the top dead center. So during this path, the two different speed cannot be attained. One is very slow and one is very fast. So that's why we can say the Carnot cycle is practically not possible. Just it is a reference cycle for the practical cycles. Is that clear, all of you? Okay. So if you find anywhere any difficulties, so hence I have written here, hence the Carnot cycle is practically impossible. Sometimes he will ask in the exams also, why the Carnot cycle is practically impossible. So you must be in a position to answer these things. Okay. So with this, we'll conclude the video lecture here itself. In the next video lecture, we'll be seeing the numericals on Carnot cycle. We'll see one numerical on Carnot cycle, because generally in VTU examination, we will not ask the numericals on Carnot cycle, but as it is mentioned in the syllabus, so at least we have to do some numericals on the Carnot cycle. I'll solve one numerical, and rest of the numerical you can solve on your own, because you can take any textbooks, you will find number of numericals in exercise section. Okay, so if you find anywhere in difficulty, you can ask me. Okay, so please subscribe this channel, like and share, and if you find anywhere any difficulties, you can put your queries in your comment box, and please don't forget to press the bell icon, so that whenever I upload the new video on YouTube, you will get the notification instantly. Okay, so stay safe, stay at home, and have a nice day. Thank you.